Rich, Mark Zuckerberg is taking a different tack this time, too. In the past, he's apologized. In the past, he's been contrite about things. This time, not just Mark Zuckerberg, but the rest of the company's kind of response to this has been one to kind of take on the whistleblower and say she's not somebody who knew that much. She wasn't around for very long. She wasn't involved in any of the C-suite level conversations or board meetings. Is that effective?
Look, these are problems that don't just affect Facebook. I mean, I think that's the most important thing if you think about this. Like, this is not a Facebook issue. This is a Facebook, a YouTube, a Twitter, a TikTok. I mean, you know, as you look kind of through the landscape, we've seen article after article and investigation after investigation. I mean, there was just one on TikTok. There was one on, you know, how many brand safety YouTube, you know, Wall Street Journal headline stories have there been over the last, 5 to 10 years? This is real problems of just how people, anytime there's an algorithm, time people are given sort of free expression. This is the problem with news and information and human behavior. I think this goes well beyond Facebook. And I think the challenge is whether or not you like it, hate it, whatever your opinion on this issue is, if you want government regulation, what does that look like? Like, it's one thing to say there's a problem. I think everyone recognized, even Facebook said they know there's a problem with hate speech and, posts that could be incendiary. Like, the problem is, what do you do about it? And who is the arbiter of what is okay and what is not okay? And I think that's where the real challenge comes in, is trying to figure out how would you actually regulate this? And I think it also speaks to my partner, Brandon Ross, has spoken about how this is sort of why Facebook is sort of shifting towards the metaverse. Like, Mark got on the last conference call and said, we're a metaverse company now, sort of out of nowhere.
The hell does that mean?
I think
switching to the metaverse.
No, but Becky, I think part of it's because you can't fix this problem that you, Sarah, I, and others, you cannot fix this problem. YouTube's trying, Google, I mean, everyone is trying with massive resources. And think if you're Facebook, you're going.
Here's the question. Here's the question, Chris. Rich, and I agree with you. I agree with you that I don't know what the perfect solution is from a regulatory standpoint, but I can say as a parent and somebody who has kind of gone along with this and seen what's happened, now I have concerns. Now you're telling me, or we're hearing that you knew that this was a problem. You haven't told me what you've done to try and address that problem. And to come out and stonewall at this point, I think, is a big difference. What I would like to see from Facebook, and the reason Facebook gets picked on, this idea that everybody's doing it is stupid. They're the biggest, and they have the best algorithms, and they are the ones where the money flows. And that's the reason they're getting picked on and kind of, prioritized in the pecking order of all of this. I don't know what the real solution looks like, but you got to answer some questions at this point. We have seen this documentation. If you're saying that you are doing something about it, tell us what it is.
It is interesting, though. Go ahead. Sorry, Sarah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and also you got to be consistent. Don't want to be in a position where your publicly facing position is very different from what a whistleblower is revealing about your internal studies. That's how you break a lot of the trust between parents like you who are trying to figure out what's best for their kids, and also with regulators. And I'll say this on the what do we do about it regulatory thing. I agree that the platforms have to come up with some better solutions, but lawmakers, come on, do something about it. Every time we're talking about updating a national privacy law, nothing is passed. What about a political ads bill? Nothing is passed. You want to have 1 million hearings on Section 230? Okay, we'll make amendments, put out some things on algorithm review changes. I mean, there's a few senators out there, Klobuchar, Warner, who get out and try to talk about it, but nothing's being done. And so to Rich's point, it's not just a Facebook issue, even though, Becky, I agree, Facebook is the most egregious, especially when it comes to, working with kids. But it's a societal issue, and I would argue that lawmakers have really taken the back seat here, regardless of how many hearings they're holding.
Rich, we're out of time, but last quick point. Go ahead.
I just think Facebook's sort of the scapegoat. They're the scapegoat for a problem that regulators do, not just in the U.S., but around the world, don't want to deal with. And so we've been hearing about Mark Zuckerberg raised his hand years ago, said, regulate me, figure out a way to do this. But the last thing I'll just say to everyone watching, has anyone stopped using Instagram or Facebook or WhatsApp because of this? From a stock standpoint, is anyone changing their behavior? And I think that's where the BS of this sort of, hits a wall. No one's changing their behavior. I haven't seen anyone delete Facebook, or there's no massive delete Facebook or delete Instagram movement. The reality is that this is not a user issue. Are there underlying issues with what TikTok is doing and sort of the changing behaviors of young people? Sure. But in terms of this debate, I don't think this is actually having an impact on user behavior or time spent on Facebook.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.